the world can the government claim that they're in debt and they make the money? I don't understand that. I really don't get that. Like, she's okay. I don't understand how in the world can a country that makes money say they're in debt. What type of debt are you in that you can't create the money and get out of? I never understood that. So you please explain to me, government, why y'all keep saying that y'all can't find money and that y'all in debt and that y'all can't do this and do that for the country, but yet y'all can take away a penny because it costs more to make it, but yet y'all can't create money to take care of the debt ceiling. Y'all can't create the money to take care of the homeless. Y'all can't make the money to help out with the food shortage. There's never in the world why y'all should not be able to have free health care and y'all create money. There should never be a reason in the world that there should be anyone in your country homeless and you make and create the money. There should never be a reason in God's green earth other than greed that you should have children going to school and have to pay for lunch or pay for breakfast. There should never be in the world for the reason for houses to be abandoned all across Baltimore City and any other country. There should never even be a country that is a desert country when you make and create the money. Please explain that to me. Is it that much for you to deal with greed that you cannot help the people that you pretend to do it for? Hospital bills, doctor's visits, all of that should be free. There are countries out here that actually have free health care. There are countries out here that actually make sure that they have things for their children in the country to do. Japan and China and all them, they actually build things that are reasonable for people. If you're on a bus stop, they actually build warm seats. When it's freezing cold, you're not sitting on the bus stop, freezing your tail off, waiting for a bus that sometimes come when it feels like it because they're already at work and they're already in a warm bus. So they come when they feel like it. You don't have to worry about the fact that when they got pods around their country where if you're homeless, you could go into. Why can't you do things like that? Why can't you have pods out in certain parks that you don't even use no more? There are parks in our city, in Baltimore City, that is abandoned, that is not even being used. Why can't you make pods, create pods where the homeless can go to and have little showers, be able to get sleep, get out, go on by their day. But at night they have a safe place to sleep, especially when it's 100-degree weather, especially when it's freezing cold and snow outside. All they gotta do is go sleep in those pods. The next morning, they have an alarm that clicks on that opens it up, and they leave. That make more sense than having them sleeping on these heat things that you have on the streets and then burning themselves and dying. It seems better than having them dying on the street of starvation or dying on the street of freezing or heat stroke. You got abandoned buildings that is worth millions of dollars. There's one down on Pennsylvania, I guess it's still Pennsylvania Avenue, that used to be a Social Security building that is just sitting there. That don't have nothing at all but different parts in it. Different sectors from caseworkers having their offices. You telling me you can't transform that into a transitional apartment complex to help minimize the homelessness, where they could go in and have a shower and have a meal and be able to stay there for a certain amount of time to get themselves together, be able to get their social security cards, their birth certificates, and get into some type of housing and be able to move on from there, where the next group can come on in and be able to live there for a certain amount of time and get themselves together. Come on now. There's no excuse for other countries to be better than ours. There's no excuse for other countries to have better education than us. Come on now. What you need to do is have teachers who actually care about the students working in the school system instead of just working there just to get a paycheck. What you need to do is have teachers that have motivation of wanting children to succeed. Not sitting up there having teachers in there that only want the check. And if you just coming from high school, like college degree, there's no way in the world you should be automatically be putting into a high school special ed program. You better start at elementary level to get your foot in the door and see how it really is. Because I could tell you one situation that blew my mind. This teacher who was at Dunbar High School when my son was in school, don't know if she's still there or not. She had just graduated from college, became a special ed teacher in high school, Dunbar High School. She tells my son, oh, you ain't gonna be nobody, you ain't gonna do nothing, you just might as well leave school. Why she say that to my son? Why she say that to my son? My son, man, my son is the type of person, if he don't like you, he can't pretend. He can't act like he like you. Like, once you done crossed the line and made him mad, he will do everything in his power to make your life a living heck. That's my baby. I know him like the back of my hand, and he's a Taurus. And she had the nerve to say that to my baby, And he did exactly what he is. He never put his hands on her. He never threatened her. But every day she came to work, he made this teacher life a living heck. He would crack on her. He wouldn't do the assignment. He was dancing in the classroom. He would do so many different things. So I requested a meeting because he's that person, he really don't bother nobody. He like dancing. So he'll dance in the hallways at school and stuff like that. But he wouldn't get into fights unless somebody really provoked him into the fight. So I have a meeting with him and the teacher. And I'm the type of parent, I listen to both sides of the story because I want to know both sides. What made the situation, what caused the situation, and why is the situation progressing the way it is. So, you funny. So, I asked her, okay, what is your side of the story? What you feel as though happened that started my son not liking you and being just don't care about your class. And she said, "Oh, I didn't do nothing to him. All I did was just try to help him." I said, "Ma'am, come on now. My son has been in school all these years and he's never had problems with teachers. Every time he got into any situation, it was always the students. He's never fought teachers. He's never gotten to verbal altercations. He never cursed out teachers. He never been rude and disrespectful to teachers. It was always the students. So what in the world did you say to my son to get him in that mood?" "I ain't saying nothing to him, except he need to start working harder and trying to get his work." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna ask my son." Now, first of all, my son was the type of person that he wasn't gonna lie. He'll tell you what they did, and he'll also tell you what he did because he didn't care. He felt like if he was right, he had every justification on what he wanted to do and why he wanted to do it. So I asked him, I said, "Why don't you like this teacher?" And he said, "Because I was in the classroom and I was in a bad mood because you wouldn't let me stay up the night before. And so when I came in the room, I laid my head down and decided to take me a little nap in the classroom. She came over to my seat and woke me up and told me I had to do some work. And I said I didn't feel like doing no work. I was tired. And she said, "Well, you're never going to be anywhere. You're going to be on the streets selling drugs, or you're going to be in jail and all stuff like that." So he got mad and said, "First of all, I would never sell drugs. Second of all, why would you say that to a student?" And she was like, "Well, you not doing no working. You always dancing or playing or sleeping or fighting or whatever." And so he was like, "All right, cool." So every day, he said every day, I wanted to make her life a living hell. So she said what she said out her mouth to me. And I said, "So that's what you said to him, and you wonder why he don't like you and why he treating you the way he treating you." I said, "I don't justify what he doing." I said, "Look, leave the lady alone and just do your schoolwork. And the sooner you do your schoolwork, you can get out of her class." He thought, okay, I'll ignore her, I'll show her, and she'll just make me pass just so that I can go to the next class. But she kept deciding to fail him. So her failing him meant that the next year she had to deal with him. So then she started realizing, okay, maybe I shouldn't keep failing him because then he's going to be in my class again next year. So he was doing some of his work. And so she made it where she said he did enough to pass his class. But she started crying. I said, "Oh, no, 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 no. That's the one thing you don't want to ever, ever do is cry in front of my son. Because then he know he got you. Then he know that he did exactly what he wanted to do, which was make your life hell." And I said, "Ma'am, no, 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 no. You don't cry in front of a kid whose main sole goal is to make your life hell because of something that you said out your mouth." I said, "You gotta wipe your eyes. You can't do that." My son is in the corner laughing. He laughing and saying, "I got you." "Got you." I said, "Boy, cut that mess out." I said, "Cause that's unacceptable. Don't do that. You got this grown woman in here crying because she can't get past the fact that you just will not do anything, and she just getting mad and mad and madder." He was like, "She shouldn't have said what she said." I said, "That's correct and true, but that doesn't mean that you have to treat her any type of way. You prove her wrong." So he like, "Fine, all right, fine." But you would think that was the end of it. Nope. Why this lady goes out of the meeting and goes and tell other teachers that he was being mean, that he was being disrespectful, in the meeting, which he never was. He was laughing, which was kind of disrespectful, but he wasn't cursing her out, calling her out her name, none of that. So the next year, and this is at Digital Harbor High School in Baltimore City. While the next year, all the teachers that got him then heard what he did with her. Now, first of all, what he did with her had nothing to do with y'all because he didn't have a problem with y'all. He don't know y'all. But why they decided to treat him based on how he was with her. And I had to go up to the school and let them know, no, you started off new because this is a new year. He's a new student to you. So there's no excuse or reason for you to tell him the first day he get there, you're going to be doing me the way you did the other teacher. He didn't like her for her reasons because of something that she did and said out her mouth. He don't know you. So why would he have an issue with you? Now you making him have an issue with you. So, and I said, what in y'all code of honor is the fact that every day with a special ed kid, you're supposed to treat it as if it's a new day? Because the attitude and the problem that they had that day may not even be an issue the next day. So every day is supposed to be like a new day. I said, yeah. Okay, so why are you holding on to something last year that wasn't even about you? That had nothing to do with you. At all. He was like, you're right. I said, you only going by what the teacher said. You didn't ask my son his side. I said, nah, we're not doing that. So he sadly decided to drop out because they kept passing him, but he wasn't doing no work. He was dancing in the hallways and stuff like that. And he still needed 26 credits, even though he was in the 11th grade, because they kept passing him, even though he wasn't doing no work. That's the problem with the system. I literally made them fail him one year because he kept ripping up the paperwork instead of doing any assignments. I had to force them to fail him because of that no child left behind bull crap. If the children ain't doing what they're supposed to do, leave their tails behind. The heck? The next year they'll learn. Okay, I don't want to be in this class again. I don't want to have to deal with the same teachers again. I don't want to have where my friends are graduating and I'm still sitting in school for another year. Yeah, make them feel that. Don't sit there and be passing them and they can't even read, write, and spell. Come on now. There's too many of these kids out here that don't know their basics. And you're still passing them. What are we teaching these kids? When they go to find a job, they can't do the job right. And then they getting fired. Or they got to go on disability because of the school system. It's not because of the kids. It's because of the school system. They chose not to let these kids learn. When I was going to school, I say by elementary school, we had to learn our timetables, multiplications by heart. We couldn't even pass to the next grade until we can prove that we knew it by heart. Not by fingers, not by writing it on paper and doing sticks. I mean, my teacher had us memorizing the multiplication chart up to 10. We had to memorize it by heart. And every day, before we even started doing any other assignment, she would just throw a multiplication problem to us, and we had to know it. If we didn't know it, she wasn't starting another thing until we learned it. Once we learned it, then she went on to the next subject. Subtraction or adding or whatever. Of course, adding and subtraction was first, but you get my point. We had to master what it was that we had to master before we went to the next thing to master. Spelling. Y'all got lazy in school now about spelling. These kids are coming out of elementary school, going to middle school, and can't even spell basic words. Can't spell at all. You are getting them in high school, and they don't know how to study. You don't even send them homework. You don't even send them books home anymore for them to do work and master it. And that core, y'all screwed everybody up with the core. Parents couldn't help the kids. Teachers had to learn it themselves. That was ridiculous. Y'all should go back to basic math. Then we used to have where teacher was teaching us about money. Whatever happened to home ec? Or learn about fixing stuff or building stuff. Teach these kids real life skills that when they get out of high school, even if they can't find a job, they can make and create one. Back when we was younger, we was cooking in class. We was building go-karts. We was sewing stitches or holes and that was in clothes. We was sewing them up. We was drawing and designing stuff, making whole outfits in classes. Y'all got all the way from that. We was cleaning stuff, like if we wanted to be dealing with janitors or we had to fix stuff like electricians. I think more so they should have classes built towards career orientation instead of built towards the state. Do you realize y'all make people from other countries come here and take a citizenship test that they have to study for? But yet if you made the ones who was born here and lived here all their lives, we couldn't even pass it ourselves. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? That y'all make other countries come here and have to take tests to prove that they want to be citizens. And y'all haven't even taught us enough for us to even be technically citizens of our own country. I get the fact of you having them learn English. Okay. They have to learn how to speak some English or whatever so that they can communicate with a country that's English. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. But you making them take a test to be a citizen, that right there is ridiculous to me. You put them next to any citizen in the United States who's been born, raised in your school system. And I guarantee you they know more about the country than we do. You know how sad that is? That I look on TV and they ask you, are you smarter than a 5th grader? And most of us ain't even smarter than a 2nd grader. You know how embarrassing it is that people can come from another country and get grants and loans in this country, and people that's been in this country all their lives can't get grants and loans? We gotta have credit, and they don't even have credit. You know how many places that can run and own stores and never even been in this country before? But yet we want to own stores. We gotta beg our government and go through loops and bounds just to get financial money to get houses, and they can get it without even flipping a switch. That's bacon, baby girl. Yeah, kind of figured you was gonna do that. Stop taking stuff off my plate then, girl. Yeah, so come on now. We must do better in this country. We got to do better in this country. Stop doing these dumb citizenship tests. Because it don't make no sense and it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Because people in our own country don't even know none of the stuff that you're trying to get them to have to do. They should just be able to take the oath, become a citizen, and live their lives. You got them studying for a test, and we don't even, half of us don't even have to do the Maryland functional test no more. You got kids graduating from high school and never had to take the test. You know how sad that is? Just eating bacon and string beans and onion. Good on it. Got some garlic in it, some bacon, onion, string bean, all that. You give babies formula, and parents gotta pay money at the yin yang. One can of formula, powdered formula, 60, 70, $80 for one can. Pampers, you're charging us arm and leg for the get out of there. Riley, get out of there. You charging us arm and leg for the Pampers, but yet half of them leak through. Diarrhea still come through them. You still got to deal with the fact that the sides rip off. What happened to the quality of stuff? Back in the day, we used to have stuff that lasted for a long time. We used to have pants that lasted for school. Now they get holes in them, rips. They get tears. Come on now. The United States is just going down in flames, and nobody seems to care. But I'm just ranting. So, have a nice day. And I hope y'all think about everything that I'm saying to y'all. And hold your government accountable. Make them ban all the things that they know are actually harming us and causing us cancer. Make them ban things that they know that children are not supposed to be exposed to, but they still allowing it to be a part of the market. Make them held accountable for us not having the right education and being taught the way we should be. Make them accountable of not giving us that no child left behind mess. Children ain't gonna learn nothing. They're gonna keep getting passed through even when they're not doing nothing and doing the bare minimum. A D is passing. If you can't get a C or higher, you're not passing my grade. If I was the teacher, because I know you can do better. And it's a reflection of me as a teacher if you're not. And also the reflection of the parents who are not helping their kids at home. This is Mildred's thoughts. Tell me what you think. Subscribe, comment, and like. Y'all have a blessing.